We do not call any customers at all. AI handles that for us. We've already trained AI. We've been using this system for a long time. It's probably 40 car deals a month for us.
Welcome to The Transfer, where we explore innovation in leadership and automotive and business. And today we have a truly visionary leader joining us, someone who's really redefining what it means to sell cars in the 21st century. So joining us is Pat Fogarty. Pat is the GM behind the incredible success of Ourisman Ford of Manassas. His dealership is consistently ranked among the top in the country, and he's really leading a digital transformation in terms of how he's selling cars, his operations, and the overall customer experience. So before we deep dive into his journey and his background, I'd love to have Pat give us a quick introduction.
Hey, good morning. I started the business in 1991, and we were writing on scratch pads. We had appraisal pads were 3 copies, and you tore it off, and you hand wrote everything. I guess around 2000, we started bringing the computers in, and we were all really hesitant, obviously.
Yeah.
So I started with Toyota in 91 and worked my way up, and I've been through every selling system you can possibly have. I've been through Foursquare, half a car, all the leasing, everything, and it's you've seen quite a lot of. There's been a lot of change in the auto industry in 33 years, but it's all still the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's still selling. You still have to sell, and I think you have to look at the road to the sale, and you have to figure out how the technology and everything plays into that now, and it's all changed over time. So it's been a great journey, and hit some bumps, you pick up and you go on, right?
Yeah, well, that was, I think, what intrigued me most is how you'd actually shared an interesting story around COVID that kind of triggered we need to do this differently from the selling standpoint, right? Because again, you have, ultimately you're delivering a vehicle to someone, right? Like that's the end goal here. But I'd love to hear a bit about that kind of trigger point, which I know was, honestly a massive transformation and shift for a lot of businesses at that time. But you unpack that a little bit.
Sure. We're in Northern Virginia, right outside DC, and this is a fairly competitive market. A lot of big dealers here. Jimmy Coons is one of the biggest. Sheehy Group, and we were kind of over here on our side over in Manassas, about 20 miles away from everybody, and had a great reputation. But I couldn't compete with those guys. They were spending $150,000, $200,000 a month in the newspaper, TV, everywhere else. I just couldn't compete, and they were also pretty digitally savvy. So I thought, okay, how am I going to do this? And I had a guy come in from Edmonds. I loved the guy. And I'm like, well, how much do you make? So I hired him 3 weeks later, and I said, we're going to have to do this digitally. So we'd already lined up all our processes. And then, I think it was 1st of March, they were talking about this pandemic. I was kind of freaked out because I thought, we're going to shut us down. They're going to shut everybody down. So I looked at Chris Legg and I said, Chris, I need you to find out what Carvana does every day. I need this done today. How do they get a customer to push a button, buy a car, and they put it in their driveway? Because you and I are going to be here, and the salespeople are going to go buy. They're going to have iPads. They're going to do it at home. He came back about 2 days later and said, "Okay, it's up and running." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I literally said, "Okay." Yeah, I'm like, okay, where's the button? He's like, what's over here? I said, no, I want a button. I want a button, like the easy button in the middle of the screen that says, buy your car right here online, we'll bring it to you. And so obviously we didn't get shut down, but the response we had from customers was they just kept pushing the button. And pretty soon we had all these people just, in our airspace, and it just kind of transformed from there. We just started honing down our best practices and what we had to do every single day to execute this. And it just took off, and we just figured out that this was way easier to sell people this way than it was to have them actually come to the store. I had a salesperson, he said, I caught a customer on the lot and I just sold him a car. And I just looked at him, said, how long have you been with him? He said 4 hours. I said, okay, so your problem is you went outside, you bumped into a customer and you sold him a car. Now you're going to make a deal, but it took 4 hours. You could have sold 3 more cars. He goes, 100%. I could have sold 3 or 4 cars in that 4-hour period, and I feel like I'm stuck.
It's so interesting.
And I was
totally the speed and the volume at which your dealership now is operating. What was that change like as you went from that kind of old school, come on in, we'll talk to you, which again, for some people is, obviously where the business still sits, but what did that kind of shift look like in the volume of deals?
I think there's two spaces today. I think there's the space where we used to be. Let's get people in the door, let's talk to them. There's still that space.
Yep.
There's still markets for that. And you can parlay some digital. I'd like to have the space where we could do the digital and that. It'd be awesome, but it doesn't really work that way.
Mhm.
So you have people that do it all online. You have people that still want to get people in the door. And the speed with which it happens, it's incredible how fast that people will just start answering questions if you don't start pressuring them and you don't start hitting them with the salesman stuff of what time can you be here? Let's come on in.
Mhm.
And they're very receptive to it. And the hardest part in that is when you give them all the stuff, is that trust. It's that, oh, I'm going to give this person all the numbers. I'm giving them all the trading. I'm giving them everything. And then they ghost you.
Oh, yeah, all the work.
But I look at it this way. If we have 1,000 customers talking to us in a month and we won't give anybody numbers until they come to the showroom or whatever else, how many of those people are going to stay in that funnel of 1,000? How many are going to fall out naturally? 30%, 40%?
That's what I was gonna
Let's just say 40%, right? So now we only have 600 we're talking to. We've just cut our pool down. And what I have found is that the more you give these customers, the more they're willing to give you. And at the same time, you may feel like they're ghosting you, but they have a life outside of here as well.
Mhm.
So we don't chase anybody down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, they may be.
Um, like we let them come to us. So we've developed a couple things. We do LiveView, which is we can actually see people in the ecosystem when they're on our website.
Okay.
And so the minute they push on a certain couple different buttons, we can actually jump in and say, hey, this is Pat. I'm actually at the dealership. Here's myself. If you have any questions, feel free to call. That's it. And then we also follow up with a little bit of, if you decide to keep going, here are the steps, and we can do this all electronically, and you never have to come to the store. And so we've kind of taken some of the mystery out of like car buying, and the stories they're going to tell themselves in their head, and trying to figure out baseball, t-ball, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So we have live view, we have chat, texting, we have email, we have phone calls, and we have very few walk-ins here. We're not that mecca of, the car row. We're down in Manassas in Virginia, which is a little south of DC. So we have to talk to these people digitally. I think that what started this thing, though, when you asked me about speed, one of the things that Chris Lake brought with him was the importance of doing everything right up to that point to get the customer to engage with you. And what I mean by that is you have to use the internet as your showroom. That you have to acquire the car, you have to merchandise the car properly, you have to put the right descriptions in, you have to price the car properly out of the gate. You have to do all these things to have your showroom looking perfect. It used to be we'd walk outside and you'd have all the rows of cars would be perfect and they'd be mixed in colors and you have balloons everywhere. It's the same thing online. We do a lot of other things in the background, retargeting and all those things that help drive a lot of what we do. But as we kept pushing deeper and deeper into this, like our Ford website gets 70 or 80,000 unique visitors a month.
Wow.
And, when we get somebody in our system and it's live view, we convert about 55, 60. It's like 58% of those people will actually convert and talk.
Wow.
And so, I look at it this way is I don't want to chase anything or anyone. That's a lot of work. Eh, and how do you know if you're chasing the right person? So I look at it this way. If you look at a funnel and you have all these buyers in the top funnel up here, right up here in the air, up in the cloud, we're just trying to get their attention so they at least start looking at us. And then as they start falling down into the engaged revenue streams, which was live view, chat, they call in or they email or whatever it is, now they're engaged with us.
Those are those signals that you know, okay, this is a closer to conversion customer.
Correct. But I also know one thing. I know this. I always tell everybody this the story. Have you ever had cable TV?
Oh yeah.
Did your cable ever go out?
Oh yeah.
And and it's the third time it went out, you knew to go unplug it, stand on one foot, plug it back in, do this, do that. You do
Jiggle the
all these
knob,
things.
all the
Yeah, you
crazy
do
stuff.
all this stuff. The last resort was to chat with that person or call the cable company.
Yeah,
That was your last resort.
very true.
So when they chat with us, they engage in a chat, or they have to call, or they answer an email. That's their last resort. They have one question. They have to get this answered. And so I don't know if you remember when you chatted with one of these people, or AT&T, or your phone, or whoever it is, they say, "What can we help you with today?" And you give them the exact question you have, and then you have 43 lines of fluff.
Yeah.
And you're like, "I don't have time for
I
this.
don't want to hear about
Please."
the promotion. I just wanted to know why my cable's not working. I don't need to handle anything. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you don't want to, and then you tell them, "I've already done all this stuff. Can you please just reset it?" And then you got to go through this and you're frustrated now.
Mm.
So that's why we don't ask people to do anything. We truly answer their question, and then we add value. And adding value would be, hey, if I know you asked about, what's the towing capacity, whatever. Or is the car actually here? Yes. If you decide to go further, here are the steps. We can appraise your trade. I'm going to send you a link. You'll fill it out. I want to FaceTime with you. We can go so I can get you more money for your trade. You can do all your credit applications. We can get all your financing done. You can do everything over the phone, electronically. And if you want to come in, you're welcome to pick it up, or you can put it in your driveway. And what's funny is we found that people stop giving us excuses of why they can't come in or why they can't. It's interesting how fast people respond now. I was playing golf on Saturday, and random club member actually texted me, and she said, "Hey, I want this car." Like, okay, I'm going to send you this Emily's number, and we can do everything electronically. You never have to come to the dealership. That was Saturday at about 12:30. It was put in her driveway about 8 o'clock Saturday night.
Oh, wow. That's it's so interesting to hear you talk about the way you're using chat and those digital tools. So they are talking to a real sales person in the dealership, but it's not an AI, bot answering the questions, but it's not also being focused on getting that appointment booked. And when you do talk to other dealership owners, they're like leads and appointments, that's the thing, right? So you've really, really flipped how you're selling these vehicles. And I think you shared a statistic with me. 75% of your sales, I think you said, are done digitally. Did I get that right in terms of roughly versus like,
About 70% of our customers just in new and used cars come in. New car retail, that's about 80% are done. The whole thing done from soup to nuts. People never get here. Cars put in their driveway digitally, electronically. Used cars is about 60. Obviously it's a little different mix. So the total combined is about 70% are done fully electronic. Customer never shows up here. Now, about 98% of all the deals, most of the deal is done electronically. They just come here to finish something up. So yeah, we prefer them not to be here.
yeah, that's so interesting. It's such a different take. That's why I was so excited to have this conversation. So I'm curious now, because I've heard you also talk, you shared a bit about just some of the challenges of technology that dealerships face, right? Like the DMS doesn't connect to the CRM. How have you been able to kind of integrate? What's been kind of some of the things you've been able to work through that tend to be challenges when you're trying to do something like this as a more digitally led dealership?
The interesting piece is obviously you have a DMS like Reynolds and Reynolds. We have e-leads, and then so that's a bolt-on,
Yep.
right? They're bolt-ons, and then you want to add the auto, and then you want to add this, and you want to add, and then you want to add AI in there. So Reynolds is not crazy about like letting all these people in. So that's a struggle, and get these guys to talk to each other electronically. So what we have to do is we really have to parse the data. And what I mean by that is we have to look at every connection almost every single day. We have processes in place, and every single team member has their piece. Nobody does it all. We have a very small head count because everybody has their individual thing, and everybody can do everything. But somebody has to check and make sure the feed with V-Auto is going into where it's supposed to be going. Somebody has to make sure, and we just check these things all day, every day. There are so many times you don't know, my cars are online. You say, well, how do you not know that? Well, they disappear. It's the
Something
internet.
broke. Something broke, something got disconnected.
100%. And so you have to look every single day. I have one person that handles all the merchandising and descriptions for 3 dealerships:
Awesome.
Ford, Toyota, CGR. And to give you an idea, the Ford store, we have 1,235 new cars on the ground and about 120 used cars on the ground right now. We're light on used cars. And Toyota is the same way in CGR. So we have a lot of cars. Every single car gets its own perfect description. And anybody's welcome to go look it up. It's Ourisman Ford of Manassas. Click on the car, look at the description. We spell things out. If it's 4-wheel drive, we say 4x4, backslash 4W and D. We name it a few different ways because you don't know how somebody's going to search it.
Yep, makes sense.
So all those processes are dialed in and they're paid attention to every single day. And it only takes 20 minutes. So it's not like this 4-hour day for somebody. It's a 20-minute process. Let me look at this. Let me look at this. That piece is here. But then this piece is the sales side of it. And this doesn't work if they're not selling cars. And if we don't funnel the customers to these guys, they can't sell.
Exactly.
But if they don't get their pictures in AccuTrade,
The
I
cycle.
can't I can't get their cars online in 24 hours.
Yep.
So the salespeople realize the importance of what they do when they're taking a trade. And you say, well, man, that's a waste of time when they take all those pictures, and it's not. First of all, it builds value when you're trying to trade the car, because now that people see you working on it, it's just like we used to do back in the day.
Yeah.
We used to walk the trade.
Yep.
So,
it's much more visible, you could argue, in this way, right? Oh, it's up on the site. I can see it. It looks great.
right. And people, we're taking a picture of your car, so we're going to know we know there's a dent there. So at the end of the day, everybody has to play their part. And
You got to make sure all the pipes are connected, right?
100%, because digitally, it's I tell people out there, digital is dog years. Okay. If you're offline for one day, you might have been offline for 7.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
So it sounds like a lot of work, but it's way easier than the old way.
I was going to ask you, so what I'm hearing is really it's like the orchestration of all these different systems that's kind of become the foundation, right, of making sure this kind of engine continues to run. Is that what's kind of the biggest challenge you think?
It's a culture, that's for sure. So, and that's such an overused word, but at the end of the day, I really got lucky because when I got here, we did have to turn over the staff, and I was only really hiring inexperienced salespeople. They didn't know any better.
Yeah, no preconceived notions of how right or wrong, right?
And we made it super easy for them to communicate with customers. When in the old days, we used to have to bring somebody in, train them how to do all the things, fill out the paperwork. Here's how you fold this. Here's how you do this. Here's where all the cars are. Here's the bathroom. Here's this. Now let me tell you how to be a salesman. Let me tell you how to close a deal.
It was almost the last thing, right? It's the most important skill. This is the last thing you get to.
Right. And I was very fortunate. I had an unbelievable mentor, Mark Scholes, and he was one of the greatest sales trainers of all time. And I mean, he was just so dynamic and so good. And I studied him. And so we had 35, 40 salespeople all the time, but they were always that bottom third just turning over. So we were training them all the time, all the time. And it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And we spend so much time on people that we had to train and retrain and start. Now it's just so easy because I don't have to really train them how to sell cars. Just be nice. You just have to be
Answer the
nice to customers.
questions. Yeah, be straightforward. Give
Yeah,
them the
and
advice.
and there is a little bit of negotiation, I'm sure, with the trade, and there's some finance stuff, but at the end of the day, it's really, here's our price. This is what we do,
Yeah, the
and
headache's
this is what
done.
we offer, and we're not really here to try to close you as hard as we used to. I'm sure anybody whoever is going to listen to this, if you have a dealership where you've been in a store where on a Saturday you had 150 ups and you only have 30 salespeople, you missed a lot of them
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't know who to pick. None of us had a magic crystal ball. We could say that's the customer. So you might be with this person for 4.5 hours and they have bad credit, or they just got mad, or they didn't want to do it, or you couldn't close them. Now you spent 4 hours of your time, and we could have had three more customers.
Yeah.
So I think we're heading this way. I was thinking for a while we were 2 or 3 years ahead of the automotive industry, and I still think we're ahead a little bit. But I will tell you that it's moving faster that way. It's moving faster towards this digital than it's ever moved that way. And I will tell you that it's not necessarily us in the industry trying to do it. It's outside forces that we can't control. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Google's probably going to catch on. It's probably going to be a pretty good company. Amazon's probably going to work out. You
They've
know,
changed what customers expect in any type of exchange digitally,
100%.
how they get that in person immediately, like that is, and it raises the bar for everyone
It
because
does.
there's such a continual usage of those things. It really it's absolutely the key reason. I'm so to that thought, I want to come back to something you talked about, how I could hand this playbook to competitors and they just will never execute. Why do you think that is? Or do you think it's just too hard? Like, I'm so curious
It's
for you to unpack that a bit.
No, it's not hard. It's foreign. It's absolutely foreign.
Just a
Um,
different buying experience. Like
yeah,
that's that 70, would you say 70 to 80,000, unique visitors hitting the site. That's where you want them to be. And that's just sounds like fundamentally different than
it, it's
typical.
wholly different. I will tell you one thing Mark Scholes taught me was, you know, you have to look at it from everybody else's point of view, Pat. You're never going to sell somebody or persuade somebody to do anything unless you know where they're coming from.
Mhm.
And you have to understand that. And I talk to people all the time and I listen, and how many packages a day do you get at Amazon? What do you buy at the grocery store? My, my wife buys produce and protein. The rest comes from Uber Eats, or not, or like Uber deliveries, like Target or wherever else. I don't remember the last time I went into a grocery store. I don't remember the last time I bought clothes that I went somewhere. So if I'm doing that, everybody else is. I had a conversation with an executive at Google, and he asked me, he said, Pat, where do you see the consumer in 5 years buying cars? And I thought, oh, this is a trick question. And I just said, I think it's going to be right here. And I held my phone up just like this. And he smiled and he goes, bingo.
I'm sure Google heavily
And
agree.
he's like, that's where everything's going.
Yeah.
He said, the world's going here. And that's where we've got to be. And I don't like it. You don't like it. I enjoyed selling cars. But if we don't adapt to where people want to be
Yeah.
and we don't go where they are, I don't know.
You're going to get left behind. These real world examples of how technology is enabling this industry, I think is so important to talk about, especially because this is definitely, you're in the minority, right, of automotive dealerships. I want to touch on one more topic before we wrap up, and it's kind of the marketing side of it, right? Because when you talk about that digital showroom, that's getting people to that place, right? Versus the coming to the physical location. That's also a fundamental part of what you're doing. What does that kind of look like in terms of ensuring you've got that, you call it that constant deal flow, right? Like we're not haggling on price, but I want to get people to us. How does that happen?
All right, so first thing I'll answer that question, but then let's pen deal flow really quick.
Okay.
Let's just pen deal flow.
Do it.
All
All
right,
right.
so that's an important one. We use Auto Trader, we use Cars.com, we use all the third party providers.
Okay.
We look at our packages based on our inventories. We also use their retargeting. But then what we do is we say, okay, how does this package perform? Everybody else has this package.
Mhm.
Everybody can buy this package and spend $30,000. Everyone can do it. What do I have to do to make this perform better than my competitor? And so our marketing budgets are not crazy. This Ford store sells 350 new and 150 used, maybe 200 used. And we've been at 600, almost 700 cars. And our total advertising budget is probably $65,000 is all digital.
Just
There's
monthly or for the year?
monthly. I refuse to do anything other than digital. If you just ask your Auto Trader rep, if you just ask your Cars.com rep, how does this work? Tell me how retargeting works. How do I get more SRPs? How do I get more VDPs? And then once I get a VDP, what happens next? And if you do the things you're supposed to do that they tell you, they tell us how to make it work.
They give you the answer, basically.
It's an open book test. It's just who wants to sit down and write it out. So we do that every single day. And that's how the strategy works for us is that I say this team and this team, they're really one and the same. They know they have to do their digital merchandise. They know they have to do this thing. If they don't do it, they're not going to sell any cars. So it's really the same guys. It's just they have different hats.
Makes sense.
So it's just about execution, and it's not hard. This stuff's not hard.
Ideally, if you could wave a magic wand in a few years, what would this look like, or how would it be different, but still kind of maintaining this success and excitement you've got going with this unique model?
So, and I think that's, maintaining the success is one thing. And if you're just maintaining, you're going to go backwards. So I'm terrified every single day. And I challenge Chris Legg. I need to know what the next thing is. And, we've been using AI we don't follow up at all. We do not call any customers at all. AI handles that for us. We've already trained AI. We've been using this system for a long time. It's probably 40 car deals a month for us.
Wow.
She sells another, we call her she because her name's it's Amy Ingram, the chatbot.
Okay.
So I think where we're at, yeah, I think what you have to look at right now is the computing is getting way faster. AI is not what people think it is. It's not even close to what they think it is. AI is a learning thing right now, and what people are talking about in the tech space is AI is different than what we're seeing, and you have AI that's learned and it's learning. So it's just they've got all the books, they're learning, and they're just pulling whatever they can find right here, and they're just going to throw it out at you. What's going to happen is, and this is way off, but you've got quantum computing over here that it's like 4 rooms, and this room has all the data on Earth. This room has all the data on Earth, like all the libraries, all the knowledge, and then you plug in a question, and they all 4 research it separately. Yeah. And then they throw it to AI, and the AI can put the logic in it based on what we need. So now all of a sudden you're superpowered.
Yeah.
But we're a long way away from because that takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I can see where that sales manager has 3 AI agents, and each salesperson has 3 AI agents. And what that looks like is you're a customer and you submit a lead to me. You're engaged with me, but I'm with this customer over here. My agent can talk to you.
Yep,
And you'll never know it wasn't me.
exactly.
If you listen to some of the conversations that customers have with our AI agents on the phone, you're like, wow. I mean, it's that lifelike. So
They can't
I
tell.
think, yeah.
They don't know. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, I can't tell you the amount of people who walk in every single day. Hey, I'm here to buy a car from Amy today. Okay, Amy's off, but I'm her partner. I can help you. Um, I think what you're going to see is the productivity go up. And as productivity goes up, we're going to have to add people. Maybe not layers,
Yeah.
but people.
But across.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to have, you know, 17 finance managers at a dealership and 17, sales managers. We don't have to have that because all that paperwork and all that other stuff that takes so much time will be generated and handled more efficiently through AI and through the systems we have. But we are a ways away from that.
I
So
think
if I had a magic wand right now, I would say, okay, I want a database, I want my CRM, I want AI, I want all these things connected together in one seamless piece that I can talk to you and spit out the right answer and then give you the right result. And I think we're way away from that, but it's coming.
absolutely.
And so my vision is we're going to have all this technology to power us through the road to the sale.
Yep.
Meet and greet, investigate, selection, value presentation, demo ride, walk the trade, get a commitment and deliver the car. All this technology is going to allow us to do this in a seamless place where people want to be and they don't feel like they're being put through it.
Yeah.
It's their choice. That's where I think we're heading, and that's where I'm going. I'm going as fast as I possibly can to.
I love it.
So,
Well, I think that's a perfect place to wrap up for that. And like you said, it may not be as far away as you think, that vision that you have. Pat, this has been such an insightful conversation. I can't thank you again for your time and your openness to share what you're doing, because I do think it's groundbreaking, especially in the dealership world. So hats off to you. For those who want to find out more about you or your dealership, can you again let us know where they can find you?
Sure, just Ourisman Ford of Manassas. I'm listed on there. You're welcome to reach out, email. We'll always get back to you. We have no issue. We want to share. We want to share, and we want to hear what you do. We don't have all the answers. I want to know what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, that's some of the best ways to grow, right?
Sorry.
Well, thank you again. And for those listening, we will see you next time on The Transfer.